Welcome back. Item number 4 in the legal checklist for startups is to define your where. I'm Mark Lyda from the Lyda Law Firm. Let's get started. Defining your where. I break this down into 3 parts. 1, where do you want to work? 2, where do you want to register your business? And 3, where will your customers be? So let's take them one by one. First, where do you want to work? Here I'm not just talking about in what city or state do you want to work. I'm talking about your specific location. Do you need a retail space? If so, you'll have all sorts of potential risks there if people get injured at your retail space. You'll have to think about a commercial lease and negotiating that lease for your retail space. You'll need to think, of course, about location, advantages and disadvantages for your business. Or are you in a service business? If you're in a service business, maybe you don't need a retail space, maybe you need an office. Or if you're in some sort of professional industry, maybe you need an office. If you're in the office realm, do you need a space for a whole group? How much do you want to grow your team? This is a decision that will be affected by defining your who, which we talked about in the previous video. If you're going to have an office, will a virtual office suffice for you? That can be a great way to keep expenses very low at the outset. A virtual office is a situation where maybe you're working from home, but you have a mailing address and conference rooms you can rent at one specific office if you need to meet with clients or receive mail or packages for your business. Another office option is co-working space. This can be a great environment for collaboration. Many co-working spaces also have private offices within the larger co-working space, and there can be great kind of random interactions for business ideas and collaborations with other small business owners. Or perhaps you want your own private office, which again, like a retail space, could involve issues of potential liability if someone is injured at your office. And of course, you'll have a commercial real estate lease that you'll need to think about. If you have a long-term commercial real estate lease, it's not at all uncommon for landlords to ask for a personal guarantee, especially from new business owners. And you'll need to make sure, if you have one of those spaces, that you understand what the personal guarantee means for your personal finances. So that's part 1, where to work. The second part of defining your where is, where do you want to register? I mentioned in our video on beginning with the end in mind, defining your end goal, that perhaps if you want to grow your business into a huge corporation, you may want to register in Delaware. Many businesses register in the state of Delaware because of their specialized business courts and various other advantages for large corporations. It's a very common state for large corporations to be technically headquartered or registered. But if you are starting an LLC and maybe just you own it alone, or you and your best friend own it and you want to own it for the life of your business, you may not need to go to all the trouble to register in a different state. Registering in your own state is likely to be perfectly sufficient. So that's the second part, determining where to register your business. The third part of defining your where is to determine where your customers are. If you are selling a product across state lines or even internationally, one thing you need to be aware of is that you could become subject to the laws of those other jurisdictions. For example, if I'm selling a widget out of Colorado to people in other states, there is a possibility that I could get sued in those other states because I'm choosing to do business in those states. The law would say I'm purposely availing myself of business contacts in those other states. So in the later video in this playlist, when we talk about determining your industry-specific regulations, if you are doing national or international business, you'll need to think about how those other state laws could potentially affect your business in your specific industry. So that was item number 4 in the legal checklist for startups. Determine your where. Next up, we'll talk about number 5. Protect your brand. Develop a plan to protect your intellectual property. Please remember to click like and subscribe to help keep legal education accessible for small business owners. And thanks for watching.